Today we're going to do a nonfiction read aloud, Journey into Space. This is grade K, or guided reading K, benchmark 20. So we have a table of contents here. Chapter 1 talks about the Wright brothers. Chapter 2, satellites. Chapter 3, space explorers. Chapter 4, walking on the moon. Chapter 5, space shuttles and probes. Chapter 6, the International Space Station. And we have a glossary and we have an index. Journey into Space. So this is a part of Earth Science. We can use this vocabulary, or we'll learn this vocabulary: astronaut, orbit, planet, probe, satellite, and space shuttle. It is December 17th, 1903. Orville and Wilbur Wright just flew the first airplane. The flight lasted for only 12 seconds, yet flying had begun. Today, airplanes are bigger and faster. They carry people and things to many places quickly. So I'm going to open this up in a minute. There are the Wright brothers and their airplane. Open this up so you can see the other side. We have a jet on the other side. Today's airplanes are different from the Kitty Hawk. And so we see the Kitty Hawk right there from the Wright brothers. The Wright brothers airplane was named the Kitty Hawk. Chapter 2, satellites. Airplanes could not go to space. Russia and the United States sent satellites. Satellites orbit or circle the Earth. The first satellite was Sputnik 1 from Russia. Next, the United States sent the Explorer 1 satellite. Today we use satellites to tell the weather. We even use them to help us get TV programs. So here's a map that shows you the United States and Russia, the two countries responsible for the satellites. There is the Sputnik 1 that orbited the Earth in 1957. Scientists check Explorer 1. It went to space in 1958. There's the satellite. Chapter 3, Space Explorers. People wanted to orbit Earth too. The first person went to space in 1961. He was Yuri Gagarin from Russia. Here he is. An American also went to space in 1961. His name was Alan Shepard. He was our first astronaut. Chapter 4, Walking on the Moon. Who will be the first astronaut to walk on the moon? It was 1968. The United States sent Apollo 8 spacecraft. It circled the moon. There were other space flights too. Soon a spacecraft would land on the moon. Here's Apollo 8 as it blasts off into space. In 1969, the Apollo 2 spacecraft landed on the moon. Astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin took the first spacewalk. So Buzz Aldrin walks on the moon. Look at his face mask. You can see Neil Armstrong walking on the moon too. I'll give you a little zoom in so you can see in his space mask. Chapter 5, Space Shuttles and Probes. Today, astronauts fly in space shuttles. The same space shuttle can make many trips to space, like an airplane. It carries people and things. So this one is the Space Shuttle Discovery. That's the name of it, Space Shuttle Discovery. We send probes to space too. Probes send pictures back to people on Earth. The first probe was Luna 1. It studied the moon in 1959. Today, probes are learning about Mars and other planets. So Luna 1 was the first spacecraft to reach the moon. This is a probe. Chapter 6, the International Space Station. Some astronauts are now living in space. Their home is a spacecraft. It's called the International Space Station. These astronauts are from many countries. They are learning about living and working in space. One day you may live in space too. So here is the International Space Station where they're living. Here are the astronauts who are working in the International Space Station. All right, so we have a space timeline. 1900 and 1903, first flight from the Wright brothers. 1927, first single pilot flight across the Atlantic Ocean. 1957, Sputnik 1 orbits Earth. 1958, Explorer 1 orbits Earth. 1959, Luna 1 studies Moon. 1961, Yuri Gagarin, first person in space. 1961, Alan Shepard, first American in space. 1968, Apollo 8 orbits Moon. 1969, Apollo 2 lands on the Moon. 1984, Space Shuttle Discovery. 1998, International Space Station. Here's your timeline. Glossary. Tells you a picture, gives you the definition. Astronaut. And remember, a glossary is a mini dictionary. Astronaut, a person who travels into space. Orbit, the path something takes as it moves around an object. Planet, a large object that moves around the sun. Probe, an object that explores past Earth's orbit. Satellite, an object that orbits another object in space. Space shuttle, a spacecraft that makes many trips into space. Here's some questions for you to think about. Who was the first person sent into space? Think about it. You can rewind, go back. How do we use satellites and probes to learn about space? Last question, what would it be like to live in space? Really think about that.